zero from scratch to the point where we're making like 60K a month in profit right now at like a very, very strong ROAS. I think so far this month, the cash ROAS is at 4.5 and the revenue ROAS is like 7x. I'll explain what that all means later on. Oh, yeah, there we go. Exactly what I said. Cool. So yeah, we're just going to cover all the key factors, how to launch the ad campaigns, what the funnel looks like, the challenges, because it wasn't just a smooth journey. So I'm going to tell you what we did to overcome them in the hopes that helps you. And so yeah, if you're going to do this, if you're going to try and make this happen for your info product offer, course, whatever it is, there's just some prerequisites that you need. Again, I'm a pretty good media buyer, but not able to make anything work. So there's some stuff you need to have in place. Proven offer, normally, like you'll know if this is the case or not, and this is all pretty self-explanatory stuff. If you've got like 15 testimonials or client case studies that your program gets results, you should be pretty good. Again, you're going to want to have strong organic performance, so at least a couple of channels, whether you've got like a YouTube channel, a YouTube audience, or you've got like Instagram, Facebook audiences as well that are doing well, or you've got a cold outbound setting team or cold email team or cold emails coming in, whatever it is that's booking you calls right now. If you have that, that will make a big difference and mean you'll be able to get off the line much, much quicker than if you're just starting from absolute scratch. Again, if your sales team closing at organic about 25% plus, you're probably good, because it's going to take them a little while to get used to colder leads, which you're going to have to guide them on. So I'd recommend that you take the calls yourself first, and then start giving them to your sales team. So again, it's probably likely that if they're closing at 25% plus to organic, they'll probably close at around 15% to cold leads. But again, you're still going to be within KPI at that range. And then again, you need at least, what I normally say is at least the price of your high ticket program to invest in the first month of ads. So at least, like, let's say your high ticket program is 5,400 a month. You want at least 5,400 to spend in the first month. And this won't happen, but if you got no results, it wouldn't bankrupt your business or mess you up or give you cash flow issues. So if you've got a bit of a war chest, you should be good to do this. So let's jump into it. I'm not going to show you the exact funnel, like we've signed an NDA with this client, and plus I don't think it's fair to them for me to just put them on blast and put the funnel that they've got working all over the internet. So I'm just going to run over exactly how it looks like. So we send them to a landing page, again, super simple, just has a headline at the top, sub headline, a VSL GIF on the left hand side of the page, a form on the right hand side of the page, so name, email, phone number, and then a submit button, and that's pretty much it. So very, very simple landing page. Once they opt in, they're then taken to a VSL page. We have the rest of the page on a timer, so all that's below the timer, I think after a minute, because we want people, forced consumption of the VSL. Below that is a calendar for them to book, a bunch of case studies, testimonials, and then another calendar for them to book at the bottom of the page, just in case people scroll all the way down. So again, that's super simple. And then the last thing is after they book a call. So we use Go High Level, so the calendar is just within Go High Level. Once they submit it, it redirects them to a call book thank you page. Definitely don't use the Go High Level tracking or like Go High Level normal confirmation page. You want to send them to a page that you've designed yourself, where you're going to have a video from you on there that's going to go over what they need to have prepared before the call. Again, you can make jokes. Don't show up with your dogs barking in the background, or don't show up driving a car on the highway or the motorway if you're in the UK. You want to really preset things, make sure that they accept the Google Calendar invite. That has a big impact on show up rate. I think we looked recently, the show up rate for people that accepted the calendar invite was like 60%. The show up rate for people that didn't was like 10-15%. So it makes a big difference. You want people to do that. And then the bits off of here. So if a lead gets to the VSL page, they watch the VSL, don't watch the VSL, essentially they don't book a call, then we're going to put them in a 5 email sequence. And if at any point during this they book a call, they'll be removed from that sequence. So if they book after email number 1, they'll be removed from the sequence so they don't get the rest of the emails. And again, after they've booked a call, you'll send them the confirmation, which is something I left off here. So send them a confirmation of their call. They should get one from Google Meet, Google Calendar anyway, and then 24 hours before, 3 hours before, and 5 minutes before you're going to remind them. I found that 5 minutes before is the best time to send a reminder, because if there's nothing else that they could be doing in the next 5 minutes, whereas if you send it 15 minutes before, they might see it and go, oh, okay, cool, let me just do this, get distracted and not show up. So I think 5 minutes before is pretty key. So that's pretty much everything. It was built on Go High Level. Again, super simple to do. The format of all the pages is super simple. Obviously, writing a VSL is probably the hardest element of this, but everything else is super, super simple. And then the creative assets. So I think we probably scripted a little bit more than this, probably 5 hooks and 1 body. So let me just change that. So yeah, we scripted 5 hooks in one body. Again, with Facebook, with YouTube ads, whatever it is that you're doing, the hook is the most important part. Obviously on YouTube, before they skip, is going to be the most important part. They were super direct again. Like, are you this person kind of person? Are you looking for this kind of result, or are you experiencing this kind of pain? This is what I can help you do. Very social proof heavy again with the industry that this person's in, and just in general with ads, like having a strong, obviously the program works, so showing people that it works just creates a huge level of trust. So trust is something that I'm finding to be more and more important, and you're less and less able to do with marketing. It's just a case of showing them it works. So there's just some examples on this one. Again, this doc will be attached to the video, so if you want to go and look at this shit, you can. So yeah, again, all hooks. Some notes there. Again, all hooks should match up to the body script. So again, if we're recording 5 different hooks, they should all flow into the main body of the ad. So when I say hook, I mean kind of like the first 10 to 5 to 10 seconds of the ad, and then the rest, the other 60, 90 seconds of the body, should be relevant to the wants, needs, desires. Should instantly communicate the benefit of them working with you. It should have newness and freshness. So essentially, it should be different from other people. I have a bit of a saying that different sometimes better than better. You don't necessarily need to make the best ads possible, the best production, all of that stuff. You just need to be different and stand out. They should be built on a unique idea, and then they should prevent mental opt-out. So they shouldn't just be blending in to what's they've already seen. Again, if you're doing competitive research and stuff, you should see what other people are running and don't copy it, do something different. So there's some hook ideas and prompts here. Again, I'm not going to go into these as examples here, just to get you going in case they're helpful as far as structuring the hook. There's some example hooks, and then there's some example, like an example body of an ad that you could record. So that's it. Let's come back to the main doc. Cool. So that's that. Once you've got the hooks recorded, again, you can do some light edits. I mean, if you have a video, I'd definitely get them to edit it and do it. If that's not a possibility, then literally just add captions to it, especially on Facebook, which is what I recommend you do here when you're launching an offer. Definitely get captions on it. Again, most people are going to be watching without the sound, so you need to be able to convey what's happening in the ad and the key points without them having the sound on. So definitely have captions. That's a non-negotiable if you're running Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Cool. So ad copies, this is the primary text. Again, this should be built off the main body and even the hooks that you've got here, because you want it to match up. So we're going to make 3 variations. So again, I'd probably just take your best 3 hooks, have that as be the opening of the primary text, and then again the rest of the body should be pretty much the same. Again, talking about why they should work with you. Again, trust building. What results have you got for other people? Obviously, be a little bit careful with compliance here. Don't be saying like 100K in 5 days or whatever it is. Probably stay away from that and just focus on kind of the results and where they're able to get to. Again, most of the time, if it's a substantiated claim, you're fine on Facebook. But again, just be a little bit careful in case you get flagged for unrealistic outcomes, I believe is the Facebook policy. Cool. And then the headline. So this is the bit that shows below the video. Again, focused on differentiation. So you're going to have 3 ad copy variations. You're going to have 4 headline variations. Again, be creative, use emojis. Don't go mental with the emojis, obviously. You can use square brackets and stuff. That's something I do regularly. Just be creative. And again, you're only going to want to run with 4 variations. I'd probably recommend you write 10 to 12 and then just pick the best 4. The more you do this and the more you force yourself to do it, the kind of better you'll make them. So I'd recommend that you do that. Again, some examples here. They need to be short. If the character, if anything, this is probably a little bit too long. It will show up fine on desktop placements, but on mobile placements, the amount of characters that actually show before it just goes into an ellipses is not very many. So these will probably be fine, but this one up here would be a bit of an issue. So bear that in mind. I don't know the exact character count, but it's probably close to one of these. So you could just double check that. Cool. And then how I set up the campaign. So pretty simple. The lead objective, even though we're actually going to have the optimization event be calls, which I don't think I added here. Cool. Well, that's set at the ad set level anyway, but yes. So advantage campaign budget settings is off. So this essentially means that you'll set the budget of the campaign and then give Facebook, Meta, free range to just divide your budget between the ad sets as it pleases. I found that not to get the best results, and also it can make it difficult to scale, because if you increase the budget by $100 a day, you don't actually know exactly where that budget is going to go. For that reason, I just prefer to do the ad set budget optimization, or that was what it used to be called, ABO. So essentially all you need to do to have that enabled is just to turn off the advantage campaign budget, which is what it's called now. Ad set setup is super simple. So the parts that I missed are you just need to add your pixel in at the top. Then you'll need to select the optimization event. So for this, we're going to do schedule. So again, you need to have the tracking set up on your funnel. I have a video on how to do that. So if you don't know, just send me a comment on YouTube and I'll send you the video to do that. I think it might be unlisted right now. But yeah, you just need to set up the Meta Facebook tracking, which is super easy. Have the schedule event on the call booking thank you page, which is why we want to redirect them to a separate page. And then schedule is going to be the optimization event. A while ago, probably talking 1 to 2 years ago, it was kind of the meta, forgive the pun, to have lead be the objective because Facebook needed 50 conversions in a given week for the ad set to exit the learning phase. I found that even if an ad set doesn't leave the learning phase, just basically telling Facebook what it is that you want, for, in this example, lead, it's fine. There's still enough data for them to optimize. If you were going to do sale, then I think you start running into problems unless you're running a low ticket funnel, which I don't recommend. But if you're running a cool funnel, you're going to run into it. You're not going to run into issues having schedule. And I found it leads to better results and more quality. Even though your CPL might be a little bit higher, the cost per call is going to be lower and the quality is going to be better. So definitely select schedule as the optimization event. That's a non-negotiable and something you should definitely do. Ad set up here. So if you have warm audiences, I would probably have that instead of this broad targeting. If you are running like a brand new account, no pixel data, whatever, instead of the broad targeting, just do warm audiences, which will be Facebook page engagers, Instagram page engagers, website visitors, etc. Again, if you don't have your pixel on your website, do that now, and then also that might affect your ability to use that warm audience. So yeah, but if you don't have warm audiences or you don't have a big presence on Instagram or Facebook, then I just use broad targeting, which means you're just going to restrict the age and location only. So if you know roughly your clients are like 22 to 32 in the UK or in the United States, whatever it is, just select that and then don't put any other targeting options, don't put any exclusions, and that's going to be your broad targeting ad set. This is the way that it's going, but Facebook is pretty good at finding the right people. They keyword scrape your ad again. Even if you're launching a video, they'll be able to know what you're saying in the video and match you up to people that are likely to be in the audience for that. So you can be less and less targeted with your ads, and they'll still work. A lot of what we're doing for clients right now is pretty much broad targeting. We're just leaning very heavy on the creative and creative testing. So next one is a 1% lookalike stack. So again, we can expand this further on, but in the beginning, we're just going to launch 1%. So really, you want to work down this list. Ideally, you have a customer list. So you actually need to have at least 100 emails in a given country. So that might be tough. You might not have that. So if you don't have that, then kind of work your way down the list. Ideally, you have all of these, but if you don't, then go to book qualified calls. Again, ideally qualified calls. If you don't have a qualifying system, then just book calls. Again, you should, if you have 100 emails in the United States, for example, Facebook will be able to match it up. So what lookalike stacks are done per country because it's 1% of the country's population. I think that's how it works. And so, yeah, you need to have at least 100 emails in that particular country. So if you do the CSV file, Facebook will tell you if there is not enough people or not enough people, or there's not enough people in that location, and it will let you know. So that's it. And again, leads, if you have an email list, whatever, you have leads, get that exported as a CSV file, and name email, phone number is normally enough, upload it to Facebook. It will ask you to match the columns to what they are. That's pretty easy to do. And then social media engagers, again, that's just an audience you'll need to create in Facebook. Pretty simple to do. Just do Instagram page engagers, Facebook page engagers. I think 365 days is the most that you can do. So I just select the maximum for that. And then once you've made the audience, create a 1% lookalike off of it for the given country that you want to target. If it's the UK and the US, you'll need to create 2 separate lookalikes, one for each of the locations. So again, pretty easy to do. And then the last is the interest stack. So find like 8 to 10 normally, or 5 to 10, sorry, relevant interests. I just put 8 here because that's the specific amount that I used in there. So again, this is an offer that was for people getting into high ticket closing. So again, it was going after existing salespeople. So a lot of the interests were around people being salespeople, being interested in sales, influencers around sales, whatever it was. So that was pretty simple to do. But whatever it is for your offer, literally I would just type like a starting point in there, and then you can just do the suggestions and then just scroll down the list and just see whichever ones there are. I'd stay away from anything too massive. If it's above like 100 million, you probably want to avoid that because it's just going to be too broad, too many people in there. Like if I just selected sales, as an interest, that's like, 300 million or something. So I'd probably stay around the like 1 to 50 million is probably a good spot. If you can find 8 to 10 that are like that exact size, you'd probably be in a good spot. So that's what I recommend you do for that. And then for the ads, again, 5 ads total. I'd probably recommend, so this isn't actually what we did, we just launched with videos, but if you do have a good static ad, I'd recommend you launch 2 static ads and 3 videos. So of the 5 hooks and 1 body that you recorded, make a call and see, and basically select which 3 you think are the best, and then launch those. Pretty easy. We're not going to do these in a DCO, we're going to do it as individual ads, but then what you're actually able to do is have multiple copy variations. So yeah, so essentially the 3 variations of ad copy, the 4 variations of headline, you'll just insert into each individual ad. If you're unsure of how to do that, just leave me a comment and I'll send you a video showing you how to do it. The starting daily budget in this case was $150 a day, but I'd recommend you start. I mean, you could start at 50 a day, but I think 100 to 150 a day is a good spot. Even if I had more budget to play with, I'd probably still launch at 150 a day. So that's, if you do the maths, $50 per ad set. And then that gives you enough data. And again, if you get some great initial results and you start getting some calls in the first 2 or 3 days, then I would have no problem bumping those up to 100 a day. Cool. So that's everything. Again, I've got another one going through how I set up campaigns and shit like that. So if you need that video, just give me a shout, or just look for it on the channel. I think it's called How to Launch, Scale, and Optimize VSL Call Funnel. Just go check that out. So these are the initial results. So we launched this at the halfway through August. Again, it was not a big spending month, and again, we launched at like 150 a day. So we'd only spent $2,621 or pounds. Sorry, we had £12,200 in total cash collected. So what important definitions here? So total cash collected. For example, the price of the program is 9,600. If you only collect 2,400 on the initial sales call, and then there's a payment plan set up, only that 2,400 would count towards total cash collected. That's cash in the bank, and cash collected is what you can scale off of. You can't scale off of future revenue. Payment plans fail, people refund, etc. So again, I don't get too hyped up by the very much higher total sales value ROAS, which is 22,600. So again, not a big. It was only 15 days of the month, or 10 days in a month, so it wasn't a big sample size, but however, results were great. And then it continued into the second month. So second month we spent 1,100 pretty much. We had 57,000 in total cash collected, so that's cash in the bank. We had 104,000, so again 50,000 or so in payment plans that are going to be collected in future months. 5.2 cash ROAS and 9.41 revenue ROAS, so great results there. And then some other metrics that I've put in here, not that they say too much other than the cost per call, which is great, but probably some stuff for you to benchmark if you want to get similar results. So again, CPM anywhere between like $15 to $30 is probably a good spot. If you're running like a B2B offer, it's going to be higher. Everything's going to be higher on this. You're going to have a higher CPC, higher, lower CTR probably, lower landing page conversion rate, higher CPL, all that good stuff. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, again, $15, $25 is probably good. Again, CPC around $1 to $2 is probably where you want to be. One thing that I thought was important to note here, so this is what I always track for accounts, and where I count the clicks from is unique outbound CTR. That's unique people clicking the link and like going to the landing page. Because Facebook will count, if you look at clicks all, they'll count people that click to play the video, people that click see more to look at more copy, people that click share, comment, like a bunch of crap that doesn't really matter, doesn't get you better results. So unique outbound CTR is what you want to track. Then you can use that to calculate. It's a rough calculation because not every click is going to turn into a landing page view. People bounce, whatever. There's loading issues, but that will give you a better idea of what your landing page conversion rate is. So that's what that one is, landing page conversion rate. Then we've got cost per lead, which is again under $10 is pretty good, especially if you're running a B2C offer. You really want it to be between like $5 to $10. Again, okay, there's going to be outliers where it's less than that, where it's slightly more than that, and it still works. VSL conversion rate was 9.38%, which is actually a bit low. Like really 10 to 15% is where we want to be. Ideally 15 to 20%. The best offers that we've run have been 15 to 20%. And again, the cost per call was like ridiculously low for this offer. If anything, it's a bit concerning how low it is. So really probably around like 150 would be a good spot, especially you're not at a huge amount of scale here. So at like 150 you'd be good, and that'll give you room as you scale. It'll probably get closer to that 150 to 200 range. and you'll still be wildly profitable. So what I wanted to go through was just some of the challenge we had it on the way to doing this, and we've been able to do it month in, month out. I think the lowest ROAS we had a blip like November of last year, where the ROAS was cash ROAS was 2, revenue ROAS was like 3. So again, not a total disaster. We're still making money, but just not a huge amount. And so, yeah, just wanted to be realistic, go over the challenges, how we overcame them, in the hopes helps you. So again, just as we were gaining momentum, this was actually in the month here, the first full month where we had these results. That was even with 5 days where the ads weren't spending because the account was suspended. So we actually hadn't known, but when we spoke to the client, the account had been suspended in the past. They'd got it back in the past. So that definitely impacted it. And normally the review process is able to happen, but it wasn't because it had been banned before. So again, there wasn't any red flags in the account. We weren't getting a bunch of ad disapprovals. There wasn't any like pixel stuff going on. There wasn't anything to say that the ad was going to be banned. And again, results were fantastic. Cool. We followed the standard review process. So again, you normally have to submit ID, submit a bunch of stuff. I normally follow up with support by chat every single day just to follow up where they are, and it normally seems to speed things up. But again, we weren't successful with that. It said that after review, the account was like totally banned, couldn't get it back. But that only happened because it had been banned in the past. There was a history for the ad account. So normally, if it's your first time getting the account suspended, if you have a bit of history with the account, you should be able to get it back just by following the standard review process, and then just hounding support until they give you a reply. And then, yeah, that's what I've said there. Cool. So yeah, I was suspended for a total of 5 days. We did have a contact at Facebook that we knew, and we were able to get the account back. I think they charged us like $1,500 or $2,000, something like that, which was worth it to us because of how much money we were losing by the ads being off. So again, not able to give this person's contact information out just because of the nature of the situation. But yeah, that's always an option. There's people that you can find that are able to get accounts back for you, but obviously you will need to pay for that to happen. Cool. And then something worth noting is that once the account back, there was a period of volatility. So you can see there before I showed you the cost of call was like $80. I think it jumped up to like $130 for around 10 days after. CPMs were high, which can happen sometimes when you have a bunch of ad disapprovals or disapproval suspensions, all that good stuff or bad stuff. And so, yeah, we were able to get things back in line, but it took about probably 10 days for us to do it. Some of the ad sets that once they turned back on didn't work very well, so those had to be cut, new ones launched, etc. So there was a bit of a process, but it took about 10 days and then we're kind of back on track. So yeah. Again, it can be a little bit complicated when you get an ad account banned, but the best thing is just follow the review process and then just hound support to give you an answer on why it was banned and then how long it's going to take for it to be manually reviewed. Because a lot of the time it's just AI banning the account. It's not that somebody's looked at it and gone, this guy's a scumbag, let's ban him. So cool. Second challenge, slightly more exciting one, is that the VSL conversion rate was low. So like I said, it was around 10% pretty much consistently, which is consistently low. Really, again, 15 to 20% is like the ideal and where I've seen the best offers. So we knew there was a gap here. Again, we often call the lead to call rate, which is how many leads book a call. And also we do it have a tracking sheet. We do it on a daily basis. So that can be a little bit skew the data slightly because it doesn't, not every lead that is becoming a lead on that day is watching a VSL and booking straight away. Sometimes they book from the follow-up email, sometimes they come back to a different ad and then book a call, so it can skew things a little bit. And again, on the tracking sheet I call this VSL conversion rate, but that's only a proxy for the true reality of the metric, which is that it's a lead, the amount of leads that are becoming calls. So there's lots of factors that can affect that. So VSL conversion rate is one, which is your VSL's ability to convert somebody from a lead, tap into desire in the person enough for them to take action and book a call. Calendar availability and slots is a big one, especially if you're, for example, your sales reps are in the UK and you're working in the US. The time zone might not line up. There might not be slots on the calendar that suit those people. Again, if there aren't many slots, if there's like 2 slots on the calendar or there's 0 slots on the calendar, that's going to massively affect your lead to call rate and cost per call in general. Your email follow-ups, how good those are, and then the broadcast that you're consistently sending, your lead nurture, etc., is going to affect how many leads become calls. Your retargeting effort, so if you're retargeting on Facebook, even your Instagram and organic channels, people find their way to them from Facebook. They often click to the Facebook page or click to the Instagram page. How that's set up for conversion is going to have an effect on how many of those people become calls. And then if you have internal setters that are calling VSL leads, those are going to have an impact on the lead to call rate. So all of that is to say that you shouldn't just script a new VSL because the lead to call rate is low. That might not be the issue. So it's very, very important to look into all of these other avenues, look where there's gaps, and just try and essentially fix a leaky pipe, which I think I've got in there somewhere. So call it what you want. Essentially, you could call it a bottleneck. So whatever is the bottleneck to scale, which is the thing that's holding things back. Like the lead flow is good, but we aren't getting calls. So if something's blocking up the pipe here, we need to figure out what that is, and remove it. So again, it's a complicated issue with VSL, and again, there isn't like one strategy to do this. If you have any questions, obviously we can look at the data together and figure that out. So I just wanted to go into the actions we took because I thought like this was a cool process, and we were able to fix the issue. So after gathering data and investigating all avenues, all of the things here are things that we looked into. We came up with a plan. So this is what I recommend you do. Like I would say, be very like slow, analyze the data, figure out exactly what's going on before you take action and change shit, because you might just fuck it up. So yeah, take a second, take a week, review the data, review what you think the issue is, and then once you've decided something's the bottleneck, then like attack it aggressively. If you decide it's the emails, like fix your email follow up, do something totally different, fix it, like aggressively attack it, hire a copywriter to write some emails for you, whatever it is, just attack the problem aggressively once you figured it out. So cool. A preferred way to test the VSL would actually be to make like a whole new funnel, or do what I've said here, which is split test it, because the problem is you can't just split test the VSL page if you don't change the calendars out, because then you have no way of matching up which leads became which calls. So you could just do it where you make a split test in Gaia level, ClickFunnels, whatever you're using, and 50% of the traffic goes to a different page, and then you'd need to have a separate calendar on that page so that you could track how many calls came from which calendar over a given period of time. Probably 2 weeks. I'd probably recommend you do this for a month, to be honest with you, unless there's any red flags that one VSL is converting terribly. So again, we set up a VSL test. We actually just swapped it in. There were some delays on the tech side, some problem with the tech person working with this client. So we ended up just switching it back in. We only really did that because we had a high degree of certainty that the new VSL wouldn't underperform, because my business partner, Lee, is a fantastic copywriter, like amazing at VSLs. And so I knew that whatever he'd made wouldn't like take the VSL conversion rate from 10% to 5%. So we're able to take that risk. I don't recommend that you do that, especially if you're not a great copywriter. So yeah, even though we did that, kept a close eye on metrics, we only saw about a 2 to 3% bump from this action, hence the next thing that we needed to do. So this is something we've been talking about to the client for a while, and something we're kind of pushing every single client that we have to do, which is implement cold callers. So what they're going to do is essentially call every single VSL lead that didn't book a call and push them to book a call, and with the closers. So this led to a much bigger jump. So I think we went from like 10% to like 12, 13% by recording the new VSL and fixing some things with the opening and just throughout added more social proof. But the cold callers took it from like 10, 12% to 20%. So yeah, pretty much solved the whole problem there in one go. So yeah, they had 2 cold callers. I think they eventually had to fire one, but they just incentivized them by appointment booked. They paid them like $30, $40 per appointment. But again, there's strict parameters. They can't just send absolute dog shit to the closer's calendar. And every conversation within like Instagram or wherever every conversation they had with them, email, on the phone, whatever, is tracked, so we can see what was said to them, what the client's budget is, all of that good stuff, so we can keep them accountable and make sure they're not just sending low quality calls, and they wouldn't be paid for calls that are like low quality and they shouldn't have put on the calendar. I think they actually also received 2.5% of cash collected on sales from calls that they booked, so another incentive there for them to pass quality calls to the closer's calendar. And again, like I've just said, there was a bit of a note. This is the most pertinent action that we took, pretty much solved the VSL conversion rate problem, and it solved it to this day. We're still in a good spot with that because of the cold callers performance, and obviously the change we made to the VSL. Something else that we experienced was just creative fatigue. So when we initially launched the unique outbound CTR was like 1.4%, which can normally happen. Normally with new offers, when you first launch them, they're going to be like super hot out the gate, and things are going to then eventually like settle down. But it'd become a bit concerning to the point where at the end of last year, it was around 0.6% CTR, which is no bueno. and again, like I said there, despite the drop in CTR, performance was still strong. However, I did think it was to the point where we needed to refresh the creative and see what we could do to get it up. Something that's important to note is that a high CTR is never the goal, but it was clear that ad performance had decreased, and that we could improve results by refreshing the ads, whether that's refreshing current best performance and winners or recording new angles, etc. So like I've said here, there was a two-pronged approach. We recorded at best performers in a new environment, so new background, different style. So recording it like selfie style on the phone instead of just like camera set up at a desk. That gave us a bump, or just outside. I think the client was on holiday in Spain somewhere, so in a sick villa. So the ads were really cool. So those worked really well. And again, other than just recording the winners in a new environment in a new style, we also sent the client some new angles to record, so they're totally different stuff we hadn't said in ads before. Cool. And then other than that as well, just another factor to improve the CTR was that we wrote new ad copy as well to match up to the best performing hooks. So we did essentially what I told you to do there. We had 4 different variations. Some of them, again, we had winners emerge from the video ads that we launched, so we just wrote ad copy to match up specifically to those hooks. Use the same hook in the ad copy so that everything's congruent, and that gave us a bump as well, in addition to launching the refreshed ads and the new ads. And then something else I haven't spoken about here is that we added thumbnails as well. I'm finding that to be more I didn't think it would get a big bump in CTR, but adding good thumbnails to the ads that get people to stop scrolling has a big impact on CTR and even just kind of video view rate as well. So that's something I recommend you experimenting with and implementing. And then again, ultimately, I want to be honest about the results. So the CTR stayed below 1%. I think the goal really was to get it to 1% or above, but that didn't happen. However, we're still booking calls for $60. So again, it's like, what are we going to do? Book calls for $40. If anything, if it got any lower than this, I'd start to be concerned about quality. So again, a lot of people would be like, a high CTR is fantastic. It's massively concerning to me. If the CTR is like 3%, I feel like in a lot of the times in the ad, that it's vague. People don't know what it is. They just click into the landing page out of curiosity instead of intent being created. So because of the way we script our ads, the CTR is much lower, but every of the people that reach the landing page, a far higher percentage are opting in because they know what it is. They already have intent created like beforehand. So, that's a better scenario. And even if you look at Facebook's incentive, you're taking people off the platform. Granted, you're spending money to do so, but Facebook would, ideal scenario, and this is the same for YouTube ads as well, where you see it's more prominent with YouTube, but the higher your CTR is on YouTube, the higher your CPM is, because they're penalizing you for taking more people off the platform. So the ideal scenario for Facebook is that 5 people click your ad and all 5 of those people book a call and become a sale. So the closer you can get to that, the actually better your ads are going to perform. So big thing that I've been thinking about recently is that you don't want to chase super high CTRs. And again, I've reviewed and done audits on people's accounts recently where the CTR was like 5%, but the ads, they weren't booking any calls, they weren't making any sales. And the problem is that they were being super vague. Everybody was clicking to the landing page and nobody was converting. So that doesn't mean you should aim for fucking 0.2% CTRs, but they should be somewhere in the middle. So that's still it. So again, yeah, we're direct, so we attracted the right kind of person to click, and the results are still great. So if you have a broader offer, more mass market, you will need to have a higher CTR for the economics to work. If you're running, again, something that's more like BizOp, more just like open to everybody, you will need to have a higher CTR. For the offers we're running like that, the CTR is closer to 2%. But again, this is something just to consider and think about. So this video is already long enough, so I'm going to give it up there. Any questions you've got on any of this stuff, just hit me up and I'll see you in the next one.